read the report over the weekend, and I've got to say it fundamentally misses the point that is that people of faith cannot in any way separate their faith from who they actually are. A person of faith and their activities is not some adjunct to their experiences. It's not just an activity that they undertake from time to time. Maybe they're a regular church attendant, maybe they only celebrate Easter or Christmas or Ramadan or whatever it might be. Their faith is who they are. There's an intrinsic connection to their life. And this report fundamentally smacks in the face people's faith against themselves. And I am bitterly disappointed at the way that the ALRC have engaged. They did have an extensive consultation period. They connected with people and received many submissions, but they failed to acknowledge the substance of those submissions. And I know I've heard from many hundreds of people over the weekend, people of faith, be it Christian, Muslim, Jewish people, who consider their faith to be part of who they are and are bitterly disappointed that their views have not been fundamentally understood at best, but really have been ignored at worst. And I think it's a great shame. But bigger than that is the fact that the government is refusing to release their response. All that we've really seen from the government so far is that this is a report to government, not from government. Yet we know that there's draft legislation because our Shadow Minister has been able to see it. But what about the rest of us? What about the rest of the country? How come they can't see this legislation? And they call that engagement with the opposition, seeking bipartisan support? Well, I've got to say, that is a real low blow to anyone of faith in this country, that you won't consider the views of people of faith in this country. This legislation should be out there for all of us to see it, and it should be subject to an inquiry of this Senate, so that people, whether they've got faith or not, are able to engage in the process and provide feedback. And to think, the audacity of this Prime Minister, to think that they can just deal with just a few of us and ram it through the parliament without giving the rest of us, and indeed the rest of the country, the opportunity to look at it, well, I think it shows and it tells everything that we need to know about this government. And I am ashamed. I am deeply disappointed that this is where we've got to. And I call on the Prime Minister to reject the recommendations of this review, to not allow those recommendations to ever see the light of day in this parliament and in this country, but have the guts and release your legislation so we can actually see what your real agenda is.
Authorised by Matt O'Sullivan, Liberal Party, Perth.